Well, I love that you're being honored during a Bengals-Browns game because one of your most famous moments was screaming at the crowd, "You don't live in Cleveland. We live in Cincinnati." How often do you hear from people in Cleveland saying, "Hey, you know what, Sam, screw you"?
Well, let me tell you, number one, that won't go away. Everywhere I go to speak, I'm introduced with that. And but I didn't know what I was going to say. There'd been an incident in Denver the week before, and the commissioner sent a memo around, "Don't let this snowball stuff get out of hand." And it started to get out of hand to get playing Seattle at home. And I went over and grabbed the mic and said, "If you see anybody throw anything on the field, point them out. We'll get them out of here. You don't live in Cleveland, you live in Cincinnati." Well, I don't think they ever heard you live in Cincinnati because the place went berserk when I said you don't live in Cleveland. And I remember looking up and saying, "I'm going to look in the owner's box. If Paul Brown's laughing, I'm okay. Otherwise, I'm in deep duty." But he was laughing, and everybody else was cheering, and it was okay. We did fine with that. By the way, in the off season, I went back to try to mend some fences. I sat at a dunking booth in March in the middle of downtown Cleveland. Bernie Kosar was a quarterback. He helped put it together, and his dad. And Big Dog, the guy in the dog pound that you always see.
Yeah.
And we had big dog bones to throw. And I'm sitting there, and we had beaten them twice that year. And I said, "Ye without a win cast the first bone." Well, I guess I don't read the Bible that much. But anyway, Bernie missed with a dog biscuit, picked up one, the dog bone, and picked up that football and nailed me the first time, proving, and I can verify this, shrinkage is a reality, my friends. Especially March in water in Cleveland.
Sam Wyche joins us here on the show. One of my favorite quotes of yours ever was describing how to throw a perfect spiral, and you described it like throwing a booger off of your finger. If you pick your nose, you got to throw with the twist of the wrist. And I was always wondering, having coached Joe Montana, Boomer Esiason, and other great quarterbacks, would you use that technique and tell a Joe Montana or a Boomer Esiason, throw the football like you were throwing a booger?
Yeah. By the way, Boomer Esiason picks boogers. I mean, he's got them, So, but the principle was mainly a little narrative or a little parable to remind them that you don't bend at the elbow in. You bend the elbow straight out towards the target, and you snap it with the wrist. And the last three fingers that touch the ball are fingertips, so your pointer, your middle finger, and your ring finger, not the thumb, where you get that porpoise effect. And if it's a windy day, and that nose goes up, the wind takes it off target. So there's a good reason behind it, and they don't forget that story, by the way, much like yourself.
It's such a good one, and it lives forever.